infernal delight.
Sir, wouldn't they be all right? The tide will have covered them by now.
Oh, that's the rising tide. I only hope to God he's right. My God.
Oh, come, Victoria. Come.
In the shooting script of Maurice and in the first edited version of the film, which ran about 3 hours, a great chunk of the story was told in a flashback. In that version, a reconstruction of which you're watching here, we begin with the unhappy aftermath of the breakup between Maurice and Clive Durham. Many of the scenes in this opening sequence were never used in the theatrical version of the film. The disgraced Risley's fate was altered significantly, and we see in the sequence his apprehensive visit to his London club, which reluctantly agrees to give him a room.
Yes, very.
Ah, Lord Risley. Pleasure to see you. Yes, that'll be perfectly in order. An honour. Do you care to follow me? Fisher, His Lordship's case.
They tried to horsewhip Churchill. Women, mark you.
No bad thing. Dear God.
Also deleted was a scene at Morris Hall's suburban home outside London, where he lives with his mother and 2 grown-up sisters. They and their guests are playing charades, a parlor game that is even more boring on the screen than in real life. This sequence originally went on even longer than what you're seeing here.
You're praying. You're a Buddha. A Buddha. You're a god.
A Buddha. Oh, the green eye of the little yellow bear.
Bravo, Mummy. Ada, your turn.
Go on. No, Gladys, you think of something.
I've got one. Oh, Maurice, you act it.
Oh, yes.
Darling, yes. Ada, Mr. Chapman, this one I chose especially for you.
Oh. It's a play.
It's a play.
2 words.
And it's the whole thing. The whole thing. It's an actor. It's an actor, and he's processing.
Ada, and Mr. Chapman.
Mrs. Hall?
Throwing things.
Yes, Master Dicky Barry has arrived, ma'am. I'll see him in, Molly. Dicky's here, everybody.
Oh, rice. Throwing rice.
All right. We'll go again.
Oh, he's in love.
Oh, he's a lover.
Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, very good.
Paradise Lost.
The Bastard Bride?
No, a play, 2 words. Oh, come on, he's acting it terribly well for a stockbroker. The second Mrs. Tanqueray?
Midway through charades, the teenage Dicky Barry comes in. He is the nephew of Denham Elliott's character, Dr. Barry. Maurice is immediately attracted to the boy, who is spending the weekend with the Hall family in order to attend a dance.
He's pulling something. He's pulling. It's the bells. It's the bells. The bells.
Sakes!
Why not?
Come on, it's obvious.
Could be. No,
A ring.
Maurice proposing, can you imagine?
Go on, you'll propose beautifully, my darling.
Oh, the clandestine marriage?
You're near.
It's something marriages.
Marriage à la maid. Getting married.
Oh, Dicky, splendid. Oh, well, no wonder. Dicky?
You guessed it, it's your turn.
I know, I couldn't think of one. I've got one.
All right. It's a book. It's a book. It's
a long book.
It's a huge
A Russian book.
It's 3 words. 3 words. First word is playing tennis.
Fighting.
The bride wore a gown of beaded ivory silk and was attended by 12 bridesmaids, including the daughter of her father's best friends in the cabinet, the Right Honourable...
This won't depress Gladys' mother. She's a socialist.
Oh, my Kitty. Good news.
You mean bad news?
The next morning, Morris quarrels with his sister Kitty about Dickie oversleeping and goes upstairs to bring him down to breakfast. He also announces he's going for a car ride with Dickie. There was to have been a scene with the two young men in Morris's car, but it was never shot. We plan to do it later on in the reshoot we always do after a film is edited.
I'd rather servants went than my guests were treated like schoolboys.
A schoolboy? He is one.
Dickie!
Doesn't sleep well, so that's no good.
I'll go up.
Crowds gathered outside St Margaret's Westminster to cheer the couple as they came out.
It's past 9. Breakfast.
How long have you been here?
Oh, little.
I'm awfully sorry.
Oh, you can be as late as you like. Only I didn't want you to miss the jolly day.
Kitty? Ada? I'm taking Dickie to Dr. Barry's. Shan't be long.
Wait for us.
No, don't worry. There's no room in the car.
Come on, we eat for ourselves.
He always does exactly what he likes. I don't see why we couldn't have gone with them.
Stutz has guts.
She's beastly stiff on the controls.
What American car isn't?
A moon, isn't it?
Later, completely smitten by Dickie and ready to pounce, Morris talks to him about cars. You must keep in mind that up to this point in his life, and despite his passionate feelings for Clive Durham, Morris has never been to bed with another man.
What?
The new broth. Out on the corner. Blue.
With the web forks.
Doesn't have web forks.
Well, the new ones do.
Bet you they don't.
How much?
Not much light in here, you two.
Nearly.
In this scene, we find Morris with Gladys, another character whose role was substantially cut down during the editing process. It's hard for people today to realize the importance in Edwardian times of a kiss on the lips, the first kiss or a stolen kiss, if a couple was not engaged. A woman, depending on how she felt about a man who had kissed her, might claim that she'd been offended or even insulted by him. The kiss could be considered a lack of respect. Her male relatives might be called in to deal with the incident. That is the context here when Morris jumps up to apologize to Gladys. The deeper context is, of course, that she wanted to kiss him more than the other way around, and when he doesn't respond to her, she tries to hide her embarrassment.
Oh, Mister, don't be silly.
I'd rather die than offend Gladys. Miss Olcott.
I must go. I must find Kitty. Excuse me.
A latchkey. Oh, I know. Oh, coat.
When all this part of the film was removed in the final editing, we lost Dickie entirely, and the very nice performance by the 16-year-old Adrian Ross Magenti. But I was able to recast him in Howard's End 5 years later in the part of Tibby Schlegel.
This is my room. I mean, generally, they've turned me out because of you. I sleep here alone. I'm above, in the attic over this. If you want anything, I'm all night alone. I always am.
Inspector?
Right. Oh, poor devil.
It's good of you, sir. There ain't many city gents that give up their Saturdays. Good on you, sir.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.
The next day, Morris sits at his desk in his London brokerage firm, besieged by thoughts of the various attractive young men he's met recently. Another of these, a handsome Frenchman, asks him to lunch. He's played by the actor Jean-Marc Barr, who was then a student in London and who had to put on a French accent here. 16 years later, I cast him in Le Divorce, but by then I'd forgotten his little scene in Morris, which he reminded me of.
Bon, comme tu veux. Au revoir, Maurice.
Read all about it. Viscount Risley commits suicide in Savile Club. Viscount Risley commits suicide, dies by his own hand. Peer of the Realm takes his own life. He dies by his own hand.
Continuing with the original script order, we find Morris and his other stockbroker friends on the commuter train. He's upset by the news of Risley's suicide, upset by everything. His unmanageable sexual feelings, his grief and emptiness over losing Clive, his sterile, loveless life. An older man sitting opposite Morris studies him. Later on in the theatrical version, as we come out of the flashback into present day, and taking advantage of the now empty compartment, this man will make a pass at Morris, which is rejected. This awkward and violent episode confirms Morris's low opinion of himself as a degenerate, a man of the Oscar Wilde sort, as he calls it, and he goes to a doctor for help in the next scene.
That it's better to match oneself against nature than one's fellow men. When I look at some of the statesmen we've been saddled with, I'd rather back one of the...
At the end of this 15-minute opening, the shot dissolves from Morris on the commuter train to the scene in the Dean's rooms at Cambridge, where Morris first meets the articulate and charismatic Risley. And through Risley, he meets Clive Durham, with whom he quickly falls in love. The Cambridge sequences followed this opening in the first edited version of the film. In the final theatrical version of the film, the Cambridge scenes are the same, but don't function as flashbacks.
Well, here I keep scholars' rooms. Well, I've enjoyed my head off tonight. Why don't we meet up for lunch next term? Now you know where to find me.
That'll be jolly.
Good.
After their first meeting at Cambridge, Maurice says goodbye to Clive Durham.
Hi, Durham.
Both are going home for the Christmas holidays.
Happy Christmas!
Yes.
In this deleted scene, we cut to Pindersley, the Durham's country estate, where Clive argues with his mother over his not attending church service.
It's wicked. Wicked, Mother, it's wicked to make me do what I disbelieve. If I went to my gods as you...
We also see Alex Scudder's first appearance in the film, as presents to the household servants are distributed by the family. In the theatrical cut of the film, he doesn't first appear until somewhat later in the story.
Alice, hello. Happy Christmas. Now, what do you say? Very well, Alice. If you don't want your present, I shall take it back.
Thank you.
And this is for Scudder.
Aren't you a
Scudder?
lovely little girl? You've got a lovely present, haven't you?
Excuse me.
You are a lucky little girl, aren't you?
Excuse me, please.
Happy Christmas, Scudder.
Thank you, Ma.
Cigarettes, I suspect.
Thank you, Ma. Happy Christmas, Scudder.
And here's one for Mr. Eyre. Mr. Eyre?
Appalling back. I nearly wrote to you about it. My mother started flinging the cat about because I wouldn't go to communion on Christmas Day. I mean, I'm unorthodox. I'm not a Christian.
Dr. Barry said so.
Well, Dr. Barry doesn't go to church himself.
Dr. Barry is a most clever man, and so is Mrs. Barry. Imagine Mrs. Barry being a man.
In pleasure or in pain.
Maurice also refuses to go to church, following Clive's bad example. One's sexual seducers always seem to have a knack at getting us to give up our religion. Instead, Maurice reads some inflammatory Plato, a short scene I regret losing and needn't have cut out.
Enslaved, he will make his bed as close as he may to his beloved, who can be his only physician. This sickness men call eros.
Have you been all right?
I think I deleted this bit of this scene because of the ornateness of Clive's dialogue, which is over Maurice's head.
What children?
It's interesting to see Hugh Grant in a role like this, playing an out-and-out intellectual. He played one again in another of my films, The Remains of the Day. Perhaps not an intellectual exactly, but a very sharp, very articulate, educated Englishman, at home with ideas and familiar with the classics. Someone, in fact, not unlike Cecil Weiss in A Room with a View, played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Fascinated to know you've got two grown-up sisters.
Wow. Come on.
Ashby's ordinaries are up an 8. 3 7/8, 4 3/8.
I suppose I ought to have the nurse.
Right.
She can make you more comfortable than I can.
Si tus trailers, visita mi canal.
Here's another interesting and inoffensive, speaking lengthwise, little scene I might have left in and which I regret cutting. Maurice treats his sisters horribly sometimes as the dominant male of this family.
Why is everything being done behind my back?
Mother told me to sit up. The nurse must not be let in by a man. It wouldn't look well.
How do you have time to think of such rubbish?
We must keep the house a good name.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Nurses are not nice. No nice girl would ever be a nurse, you can be sure of that. Or if they are, they certainly do not come from nice homes.
Pendersley today?
Yes.
Mother, he can hardly stand up. What does Jard say?
Maurice, come. The ladies.
Ladies.
The ladies. All right. Well, it's been very nice. Maurice, you sleeping at home tonight?
No.
Oh. Well, I think you ought to see your people home.
Oh, not he, Mr. Durham. Maurice is a regular old bachelor. Nothing I do or say can make him miss a Wednesday.
My flat's actually upside down with packing. And the Marseille train leaves first thing in the morning.
There's the mess Wellingtons as well.
This long dialogue sequence, which took place on the eve of Clive's trip to Greece, was cut partly for length and partly because I felt the writing and acting weren't quite up to the rest of the film. But it meant losing as well the scene where the depressed Clive climbs into bed with Maurice seeking warmth and solace. He doesn't find it, and the scene might also have confused the audience. The point is that Maurice and Clive never had sex, at Clive's insistence. Theirs was to be a higher, nobler, and platonic relationship between men. Only that would justify their love, according to Clive. An audience might have thought that their final embrace here signified a long sexual relationship, and that would have undermined Forster's story in our film. When Maurice at last goes to bed with Clive's servant, Alex Scudder, he is a virgin.
I shan't ever have so clean and clear an experience as death.
If either of us goes, nothing's left for both. Don't you agree?
You know, this is all the most utter madness. I must be out of my mind to go on with you and to lead you into these criminal scenes.
Criminal scenes? What are you talking about?
I know what I've stirred up in you. Well, don't look so serious.
Don't you try to be funny. I never did care for anything for your speeches.
No? Well, then, what did you care about in me? Let's hear. Is it my beauty? These somewhat faded charms? Hair's falling out, are you aware? Perhaps you like me for my mind. During and after my illness, I must have been a delightful companion. But you were so wonderfully considerate. You never snubbed me as you did your family at dinner. What's the matter now? Are you tired?
I'm off to bed.
I.e., you're tired. Why can't you answer a simple question? I didn't say tired of me, though I might have.
Have you ordered your taxi for the morning?
Nope, nor got my ticket. I shan't go to Greece after all. Perhaps it'll be as intolerable as England.
Well, good night, old man. What is it?
Can I come into your bed?
Come on.
Tus trailers, visita mi canal.
I'm cold and miserable. I can't
can't sleep. I don't know why. No. It's no better here.
I think he has a little girl up in London.
Your hand, Pippa.
Bye, Maurice. Goodbye. I do wish I knew the girl's name.
Here the hypnotist, Lasker Jones, is referring to Clive Durham when he mentions Mr. Cumberland. Have you ever united, he asks Maurice, who sadly shakes his head no.
Have you and Mr. Cumberland ever united?
No, never.
Have you in the past united with any other man?
What is the name of my trouble? Has it one?
Congenital homosexuality. 75% of my patients are of your type.
Congenital how much? Can anything be done?
Oh, certainly. If you consent.
Fact is, I've an old-fashioned prejudice against hypnotism.
You may retain that prejudice after trying, Mr. Hall. I cannot promise a cure. In only 50% of my cases have I been successful.
Well, we may as well have a shot.
I very much regret losing this scene now. May I ask your name? There would have been room, or should have been, for Maurice's renewed desire.
Uncle Maurice.
I saw you when I was in the greenhouse stealing those grapes. I did think you looked at me angry and gentle, both together. And do you remember last night when the piano got wet? Didn't sleep, did you?
How did you know?
I saw you leaning out the window. I was watching. You've not much longer in this country, that's how I keep putting it. So I watch for you. Sir, the church has struck. You'll have to release him.
Maurice.
I know, sir. It's all right. I know, sir. Come on.
How are we doing? Not scoring too well. I hope that would be bad form. Mr. Hall, you're not well.
I know.
I'm frightfully sorry. I'll send some ice up to your room.
You've always been so kind.
Look here. What about a doctor? We want to be kind to you. When one's happy oneself, one wants the same for others.
Sun's too hot. You should like a little ice.
Mr. Hall?
What sort of man was that keeper of yours who captained us?
Scudder.
After Maurice and Alec had gone to bed, Maurice is nearly destroyed by his fears of discovery, fears of being blackmailed by Alec, of being disgraced like Risley, of being hounded as a sodomite and sentenced to hard labor like Wilde for his criminal behavior. That is why he never answered Alec's telegram and letters. This is very clear and well worked out in the novel, less so in the film.
Maurice, was you taken ill, as the indoor servants say? I hope you feel well as usual.